Okay. Today's daf is Tzadik Ches, and we're at the Tzadik Ches Amid Aleph. We're about five lines down. I'm 4 lines down at the end line. I'm a rabba. Okay. The side of this whole sugya, Rabbi's members, guys, is Grama ben Izaken. By now you've heard from me many times that if you're masik be a dayim, if you do directly damage, then you're going to be chayiv. If you're masik bidei shemayim, if you be a masik grum ben izaken, you cause the damage, then you're going to be patam midinei adam v'chay b'dinei. Rabbi is going to give you a whole bunch of cases of grama, and at the end we're going to discuss something called garmi, which we mentioned before, which seems to be a middle. It's more than grama, and therefore you can be chayiv, like the Mandi Omer that done, like Reb Meir who done dinei the garmi, you're going to be chayiv even bidei adam. So nice Gemara. Amar Rabba. Hazorik matbeya shel chaveru liyam hagadol. If you go ahead now, pashtus, it means you take your friend's coin and you throw it into the yam hagadol. You throw it into the ocean, into the Mediterranean Sea. Pata, you're gonna be pata. Maybe you think that's how can you be pata? My time,
Okay.
It's in front of you. Boy is shakli if you want to take it. In other words, you can hire a diver. You can hire a diver Dan and go ahead and go and get it. So it's front of you. So v'hani mili b'tzlulin. That's provided that the water is clear. The kachazile, you can see where it is to get it. Aval achurin, if it's muddy water, the like kachazile loy. So one addendum that to Rabbi's din, that this din that you can go and throw money into the sea and you be potter is one that you have to be able to see the money. You have to be able to see the money. V'hani mili, another thing, the adaye yaduye, that you caused it to be thrown in. Avol shakle biyode, if you took it with your own hand, then migzal gazle, and you are a gazlin, and a shava boy me'evid, and you have to go ahead and return. Okay, because you stole it. You stole already. Once you stole it, it's in your rishus. You're a gazlin. So again, Rab is gonna, guys. Today's sugya is the sugya of grama ben izaken. Grama ben izaken causative is what is patim b'dinei adam v'chay b'dinei shemayim. It says Rava, if you cause, let's say I'm holding a coin and someone goes like this, and as a result the coin gets flipped into the ocean, then what? Or the sea, then you're patim b'dinei adam v'chay b'dinei shemayim. Because I can tell a diver to go get it. That's provided you're able to see that it's what the water is clear. But if the water is not clear, then no, you'll be chayiv. Secondly, it has to be that the person himself did not take it. If I would have taken the coin from him and then thrown it in myself so you could see it, but I picked it up already. Once I picked it up, I'm considered a ganif or a gazlan. I guess a gazlan. Once I'm a gazlan and I'm chayiv. Okay? So Rabbi's din of grama is of that if you put a coin into the ocean, but not, I keep on saying ocean, Yama Gadol, that you say the Yama Gadol is provided that one, the water is clear, and two, you didn't pick it up and throw it in. Because if you did either one of those, if it's dirty, you won't be able to get it. What? Let's see you holding it. And I go like this. You know, I never picked it up. I never did hagbah. And I just, the guy's holding it, and you flip it and it goes in. You flip it, it goes in. So that's Rabbi's first in. And you put the guys because it's grama. Mosif Rava asked on Rabba, now we spoke about Ma'aser Sheni yesterday, that in order to go ahead and make it easier to schlep your goods to Yerushalayim, you go put the kedusha into a coin and bring the coin up to Yerushalayim. So a person cannot take off the kedusha of Ma'aser Sheni on money that's not in his jurisdiction. Ketzad. That's a faraway place. If you have money in Kistera, or in Haramelech, again, this is a distant land. This is what we need. Or his money packet fell into the Yamagadol. You're not mechalel. So l'chayra, Rabbi is asking on Rabbi, 1 second, Rabbi, you told me that the money is considered in front of you, that the money is considered there. So just like Le'inyan Nezikin, it's considered there. Le'inyan Maisa Sheni, it also should be considered there. And also you should be able to go, therefore, be able to go ahead, Rod, and be Mechalul on the Maisa Sheni. So Amarabba says Rabba, Amarabba, shiny Le'inyan Maisa. It's different by Maisa, because it's not enough to be able to see it. The be'inin matzah biyadcha, you need it to be in your hand. The Rachman Amar, the Torah says, "V'tzarta hakesef biyadcha." V'tzarta, you go ahead, and you tie up hakesef, the kesef in your hand. V'tzarta kesef biyadcha. So, in other words, le'inyan is seeking. I can say the money is considered there. Get a diver and get it on pata because I caused it. Le'inyan Maisa, there's an added step. By Maisa, it says, "V'tzarta kesef biyadcha." You have to have it in your hand, tied up in your hand. And in Mela, if it's in the Yama Gadol, it's not considered in your hand, and therefore you can't be Machal. And therefore you can't be Machal. Again, the concept of Grama bin Izakin. Yes.
What's the Lashon? It's a very funny Lashon, no? Hashava by Me'evid.
Yeah, you have to do Hashava. You're a Goslin. Since you're a Goslin, there's a Chiyav of Hashava. The Heshav is like Zela Shegozal. That's the Lashon. V'hani mili de adaya eduye. When is it nizikin and your pata? That's when you threw it in. You caused it to be thrown in. Avol shakle biyadi. If you took it in your hand, nigzel gazle, and therefore hashava by mevad. You have to do hashava because you're a gazlan. That's the lashon. Yeah. What do you mean?
The money's in the house.
Again, something that I guess something that you have very close proximity is considered in your hand. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be mamish in your hand. But if it's in the ocean, that's not, okay. So another din. But the Amar Rabba, now Rabba is going to say another din in Indian grammar, guys. Amar Rabba, Hashof matpeya shel chaveroi. Now you have a coin, and the person, he goes ahead and he removes the image on the coin. He removes the image of the coin. Now, there's two ways to remove the image. One, you take a cornice, a hammer, and you flatten it. Or two, you take a scraper and you scrape it off. The difference being, when you hammer it, it still has the same metal value. When you go ahead and scrape it, you're causing silver flecks or whatever the coin is, gold flecks to come off. You're being mechaser it. So says the Gemara, keep that in mind. Vamarabba, Hashof matbeya shel chaveroi. Someone goes ahead and literally rubs the matbeya of his friend, Pata. He's Pata medine Adam, v'chayev medine shemayim. Right? My timer, what's the reason? The haloy of it, v'loy midi. It's still intact. He didn't do anything to it. It's still intact. The honey mili, that's provided the machia bikornisa, that you smacked, that you hit it with a smith's hammer, with a v'tarshaya, and you flattened it out. Avol shaifa b'shapina, if you went ahead and scraped it with some type of scraper, then chasre, you caused the wat to be changed, and therefore you be chayiv. That's not grama. That you mamish went ahead. You were mazik biyadayim. You were mazik his coin. You were mazik his coin. When you flatten it, the coin still has the inherent silver value that it had before you. Mashenken, when you go ahead and scrape it away, you took away some of its value by removing some of the precious metal. Masav Rabba is going to ask a question on Rabba. Hika al einoi. If you go ahead and you hit your eved, you hikar al einoi, you hit the eved on his eye. You go ahead, you hit the eved on his eye, besima, and he became what? Blind. Al oznoi, you hit him directly in his ear, v'chersho, and he now is deaf. Eved yotzei l'cheres, if it's an eved kanani, he would go free. However, keneged, let's say he hit a wall that's opposite his eye, ve'ena roya, now because of the coil that he hears, you didn't hit him directly. You hit him the wall, and he has a coil, and he lost his eyesight. Or keneged ozna, you hit a wall, keneged his ear, ve'ena shemeya, and as a result of this coil, he doesn't hear. Ein eved yotzei l'cheres. Right, he would not go out lecheres. He wouldn't go lecheres, right? So what do you see? When you directly damage the eye, it's considered hezek biyadayim. That's why he's going free. So if you directly damage the coin, you're going ahead and smashing the coin down. L'chayra, you should go free. Look at Rashi. Al oznei v'chirshoy, alma afagav deloy chasrei, even though his ear is intact, kivin the asna maisa begufoy, lav grama kachashav lei. It's not considered grama. Ela mamish, it's considered hezek mamish. V'hachanami, and over here with the coin, kivin the machia bekurnisei, since you beat it with a smith's hammer, upachsei, and I guess that's not the right. Oh, it might be a different word. What's the ches? Right. Al karcha chaser domim maisahu. In other words, but you go ahead and hitting it with a hammer, you're causing a direct action. It causing it to be worth less, and therefore it should be considered nezikin and not grama. Again, what's the kasha, guys? Said Rabbi, if you go ahead, you flatten a coin with a hammer, it's grama b'nizak in your putter. Good. We're asking a question from a brisa, and it says sima es einai. If you directly cause his eyesight to be lost, or you hit him in his ear, and it causes, again, you're not hitting it with the wall, you're hitting directly, he goes free. Why does he go free? Because it's not grama, it's what it is, it's nezikin. So just like direct to the ear or to the eye is nezikin, so to direct to the coin should be nezikin. So why you considered grama in your pata, it should be masik b'yodayim. When I say nezikin, it should be masik b'yodayim. So what's the good answer? Says Rabbi l'tamei. Rabbi goes according to this reasoning. Dama Rabba, chorshu la'aviv. The person deafens his father. Nerak. We had this earlier in the Masechta. You kill him. The fisha yevshel charisha b'lechabura. The tipit the dama naftalei bunye. In other words, his father. When you hit your father le'aleinu in the ear, there's a drop of blood that comes out. A drop of blood. You made a mum in the father. You chayiv misa. So therefore, the same thing over here. When it's considered mazik b'yadayim because it's not possible that you didn't create a wound over here. I guess by their eye also you have to say there was some blood that went ahead and some way somehow you hit the eye directly. There must have been some blood loss behind the pupil or something where you didn't see it. But Masha'en Kain, this week's parsha. Masha'en Kain, if you go ahead and hit a coin, what you see is what you get, and therefore that's only grama, and it's not what it's not hezek b'yadayim. V'amar Rabba, another din in Grama ben Izakin, had soirim oisin parasai shel chaverei. Someone goes ahead, he goes over to the par of his friend, and he makes a hole in its ear. Potter. He's potter. You didn't cause a loss. Now, my timer, para kidikaima kaima, the para is the same as it was. The le'aviv le'midi, you didn't do anything for it. You might say you can't use it as a carbon anymore. The kula shvarim lav l'gabe mizbeach kaime. Not all animals are designated what for the mizbeach. So even though it can't be as a carbon anymore, but it's still worth it for its milk. It's still worth it for its meat, and therefore it's you grama, you're not chayiv. Masiv Rava, again, Rava asks on Rabba, ha'oisim malacha b'meichatos. Someone does work with b'meichatos, the water of the paradum mixed together with the ashes, or b'paras chatos, or the paradum itself. Patim b'dini adam mechayim b'dini shemayim. Malacha hu deloy minka hazeka. That's because the malacha, it's not recognizable that you caused the chesaron in the animal. Aval soirim, but you made a hole in the animal. The minka hazeka hachanami mechayim b'dini adam. The kasha. Why do you tell me a regular par if you make a hole? You're not chayiv. See by paraduma, if you make a hole, you will be chayiv. Says Gemara, Ami hu adin afilu soirim pata. Even if you made a hole in the paraduma, you'd be pata. But hakamashbalon that afilu malacha deloy minka hazeka chayiv. That even malacha that it's not minkara. It says you're not supposed to work with it. So the chiddush over here is the fact that it's the same para before you worked it, the same para after you work it. The chiddush is what, not the dik that what you did tsarim you be chayiv, tsarim you be pata. The chiyuv is that even though it's not minkara, the hezek you be chayiv. The loy minkara hezek chayiv in shemayim. The Amar Rabba, and Rabba says another din. Hasoyriv shtar shal chaverei. Someone has a shtar, and in the shtar it says. Let's say it's a shtar halva that this person owes you $100. So to you, it's worth $100, the shtar, and someone goes ahead and burns it. He burns the shtar. Pata is pata. The amalei naira koli minach. I only burn paper, so I'll pay you for the paper, but I won't pay you for the shtar. Okay, now this is grama. You're causing him a loss. He won't be able to collect. Maskala Rami Bar Chama Rabbi Mercham asked the following question: Hey Chidami, what exactly is the case speaking about over here? If there's Adam who knows what exactly was written in the star, so rewrite the star. In other words, don't get into Pater Chayiv, just do over, right? Do over. Just get someone who knows what was there. You have Adam and do it again. Be the lekasadi, and if you don't have Adam, other Adam, then how do you know exactly what was in the star? In other words, it seems to be a moot point, fellas. Guys, you're burning the star of your friends, so you pata. Maman of shach. If you know what was in the star and you have Adam to it, rewrite the star. And if you don't know what was in the star, of course you pata. Why do you give him a chayiv on it? Maybe just there was a picture, your kid made a picture of a who knows, doodled something on it, right? So maman of shach. What's the need for the pesak of pata? Maman of shach. Either redo it, or if you don't know, then what? Says the Gemara, Amarava, hey b'maminoi. It's speaking where what? There was no Adam. The Adam don't know what's in the star, but the Soirif believes. Again, Chalukei Deis what the Girsa is. We'll go with the one who burns it believes the Balashtar that but he tells you what's in it. So the one who burnt it believes. Listen, I know you're a trustworthy guy. If you said the star was a star halva of $100, I believe you. And in that case, it's still your pata. Why? Because it's grama. In that case, your pata, it's grama. We'll see in a second. It might not be grama. Amrav Dimi Bachanina, Hada Rabba, right? Hada Rabba, that the din of going ahead and burning the star is part from paying. Machloikas of Shimon Rabbanon. It's really bemis the machloikas of Shimon and the Rabbanon. You might remember earlier in Masechta, if Shimon says if the animal is you have to make up the animal, it's a davar garim lemamin. Okay, Rabbi Shimon the Amar. Rabbi Shimon says by a ganef, if you steal the behemoth of kachim, davar garim lemamin is kemamin dami, right? That since you're able to pati yourself mechi of money, it's considered money. Mechayu, a person who burns the star, because it's davar garim lemamin. And the Rabbanon, the Amar davar garim lemamin lav kemamin dami. Like mechayiv, you won't be chayiv. So, in other words, this din of a Rabbi that he said openly that Yechayev, Rav Dimi is suggesting guys it's a machlokes tanoim. Guys, again, one more time. Rabbi said, if you burn your friend star, you potter. Why? It's grama. Says Rav Dimi, really it's a machlokes tanoim. Like Rav Shimon, you be chayev. Because this star, even though it itself doesn't have intrinsic value, it's goyrim for value. Because with the star, in my scenario, you can collect $100. So it's like you be chayiv. You be chayiv if you burn the star. Later, Abana Dova Garan Lamam is lav kamam, and then you won't have to pay. Then you won't have to pay. Maskif law Rav Huna Berei the Rav Yeshua aim with the Shamalei Rav Shimon Dova Garan Lamam is kamam and dami. That's bedava sheikri mamin. That's by summing that it itself is money, like we had earlier in the Masechta, the animal, right? That when itself the ikr is money. Then we say dava garan mammon is kamamid, right? Kidarabba, like Rabba, dama Rabba, gazel chametz lefnei Pesach. You steal chametz before Pesach. Uba achar comes along another individual, the sarfai b'moyed, and he burns it. B'moyed, Rashi says, what's moyed? When does he burn it? Bisman biuroi, b'vav shois. He burns it not on Yontif when you're supposed to get rid of it 6 hours into the day. Good. Pata. Why? Shakol mitzav malav levaroi. The one who burnt it is pata, because everyone goes ahead and burns it at that time. La'achra Pesach, right? Even though it's aseh b'hana, the chametz shavuot Pesach is aseh b'hana, then machloikas Rav Shimon Rabbanon. Rav Shimon that if you burn it, dava garam l'mam is kamamidami chayiv. Guys, Rav Shimon would say the following. What did I miss to say? If you steal chametz and Pesach passes, can you go back to the guy and say, Hari Shachol Lefanecha? Yeah. Say yes. Good. Guys, one more time. The Mishnah said, if you steal chametz, Pesach passes by, you're not koina, you give it back to him, Hari Shachol Lefanecha. Here, it's Eng Shagazal. I'm giving it back. So, like Rav Shimon, that you could go ahead and be Mekayim your mitzvah of Ashava with this chametz, it's worth money. For everyone else in the world, it's worth garnish with garnish. You can't have enough from it. For this person, it's worth money. It's a double garnish money. So you destroyed it, and you're going to cause them to pay. Okay, now What's the difference between this and a star, guys? Here, the chametz intrinsically had value. Before, the star never had value. The star is a piece of paper. It causes to be able to collect. This chametz, A, it's worth something before it becomes chametz, and B, it causes to collect something else. So when does Rav Shimon say that? That's dafka when me'ikaru it had value. You'll be pot if you burn the chametz. Now, right? But by something like a star that it's not a commandment that we say it. So we're asking Rav Dimi, you Rav Dimi, you want a taina that's is a machloikis tanoyim, and Rav Shimon would say yechayev because the star can be goyim lamamin. When does Rav Shimon say is that you goyim lamamin? That's when initially it's money, like chametz, it's worth something. But something that initially was not money, star was not money, then Rav Shimon doesn't say it. So Amar Amema, now says Amema on Rabbi, guys, man didoyin dini dirgami, the one who says you judge dini dirgami, magmi be the meishtar ma'alya. You can go ahead and collect the worth of the star from the best. Uman deloy doyin dini dirgami, magmi be the meinara ba'alma, all you can collect is a piece of paper, whatever the paper's worth. Haviyuvda, there was a situation where someone owed money, the kafir rafam l'Ravashi, when he was what? When he was young, he burnt a star. Ravashi had burnt a star, and Rafam told Ravashi, "Va'agvi be he kshur salma." He collected from the best, like a piece of wood that you can engrave, make a wood cutting on. He even collected from that. So, guys, outside, let's go outside a little bit, guys. Why did Rabbah say? Said Rabbah, if you burn the star of your friend, you potter. Why? Rama ben Izaken. Rav Dimi came along and he wanted to say it's really a machlekes tanoyim. It depends. If you hold dava garim l'mamin as kemamin dami, then you be chayiv because the star is a dava garim l'mamin. Good. And comes along and loitem on the yoma the chacham and dava garim l'mamin is not. Then you agree that you potter. It's grama. Comes along Rav Huna, the brave Yeshua, and he says, 1 second. Even Rav Shimon, who says that dava garim l'mamin is kamani, is only when it's originally money. Chametz, originally before it's chametz. Is it money? Compare that to a star. What's a star? It's a piece of paper you can collect with. What's chametz? It's value. You could sell it. It's bread, whatever it is. It's value. Then, since it started off as value, then it's a davar garam l'mamin. But if it never had value, so in other words, you want to say it's not a machlokes tanoyim, and everyone would say, "What that you potter." Comes along Rav Meir and says, "No, it depends." We know Rav Meir is done dine de gami. We'll get in a second what that is. You're done dine de gami. So a slayer of shtaras l'chaveru would be garmi, and therefore you would collect and you wouldn't be punished. Now, for the umpteenth time, there's something called garmi, and it's different than what? Again, if you mazik be your dayim directly, you chayev. Ein man de polig. If you go ahead and you mazik be your dayim, ein man de polig that you chayev. Zehu. That's the din. If it's grama bin izakin, then you put them in the other mechayev in the shemayim. There's a middle level called garmi, and there's people, really Reb Meir, who judges dini de garmi, and if you do hold like that, you would be chayiv. Now, what's the difference between grama and garmi? Clearly, we're saying Ameimai that this is a case of what of grama and garmi. So I was gonna. Oh, there's a Gemara here. Yeah, I was gonna print this out, but it's too long and too hard. So. Here's the Marmakon. The rush in the second perik, of Masechta Baba Basra, Lo Yachpar, it's Ois Yud Zayin. It's Ois Yud Zayin. So I'll just begin the questions. But Gromahu, Amrav Tura, Masna Zoysa Meres, Groma Nizachin is Asa. Afagav them Hizik Begroma Pata, even though if you do damage by Groma Yapata, Mikamakam Lechatchila, Yachal Lamoina, you should go ahead and not do it, right? Refrain from doing it. Don't cause someone damage. We do paskin the dini de garmi chayiv k'Reb that if you do garmi you chayiv like Reb Meir. So in other words, there's something called grama that you pata, something called garmi and you chayiv. So for example, the mesachni gafanoi al gabe tfuas chaveroi. If you go ahead, you cover your friend's tfuah with gefen. Ubenifitza. And you go ahead at night, you open up the gates, and you tell the guy to close the gate, and he keeps it open. Ubedonis adin v'zikas achayev, you judge a case, and you mezaka the chayev, the mechayev, Rabbi, I feel that you're mizaka, a person that you shouldn't be mizaka. Rabbi would be chayiv in that case. Okay. Maradin l'shulchani. In our case, I someone owes me money. I sell that shtar chayv to somebody, then I'm moichel it. I cause him damage. He thought he had a piece of paper that's worth money that he can collect with, and now he can't collect with, right? These are all the chayiv dini de gami. All of these can be chayiv de gami, right? So it says the Rush now. Says Rush. And Perika Chayvel. Haka biyaznoi, if you go ahead and bang in your friend's ear, v'charshu patim b'dini adam. Diu da iboy nafshe. He should, v'shisa es akelev. If you go ahead and stick a dog on him, shisa by a nachash or a nachash, u'perika koinis, liba v'lipsa ruach. If you went ahead and you let the ruach v'liba, you put bellows on it and it caused it to spread. So these are pata. V'yesh l'chalik. T'kol heicha tuhu ba'atzmai oisa hahezek. Where he himself goes ahead and does the damage, where he himself does the damage to his friend's mammon. In addition, not only does he do it, ubari has zeka, and you're sure without a shadow of a doubt that the damage is going to happen. Mikre dini de gami. That's called gami v'chayev. So, soirev shtar, if you burn a shtar, oy meichel or you meichel the shtar chayev, hu ba'atzmai mazik l'mammon chaveiroi. He himself is being mazik the mammon of his friend. V'cheimayer dir l'shulchani ki b'mashe yomalo shu tov hu pater es hanais leiloi v'chein achli achi bar hazeka kivin demara mammon yisrael oivet kechavim anos. You're showing to a guy who is a chapsin baruch hu you for sure she let oivet kechavim. He's going to go in and take it. So the Rush basically says that the case of grama is you don't know for sure it's going to happen. You're not sure. Even if you do the damage, you're not sure what's going to happen. Or you're not sure if you did the damage. You tie up a person by a lion's crossing. You don't know if the lion's going to eat him or not. Shisa by a sekel. You don't know if the dog's going to bite him or not. Masha Enkain, what's our case over here? What did you do? You went ahead, you took a shtar. A, did you do the damage? Did you yourself personally do the damage? Yeah. Is it for sure the damage is going to take place that the guy can't collect? So therefore, you got two components from the Rush as what constitutes garmi versus grama. Now, there are other Rishonim who disagree. Rashi, for example, says there's no difference between grama and garmi. It's just, in other words, the man da'ama who judges garmi holds there's no such thing as grama. So anytime the Gemara says the grama is pata, it's not going according to the man that says dina garmi. Like the man that does dina garmi, you be chayiv there also. So there's no distinction between you doing the damage or bari hazeka. Any case the grum is garmi. That's Rashi's shita. The Rambam, if I remember correctly, says it depends upon the kavanah of the person. But I heard it 50 years ago, so don't. I'm mamish 50 years ago, maybe 48, but a long time ago. But again, within that realm. But this I remember this Marmaka and Yud Zayin in Baba Basra. The Rush goes through every single case. I just went over the cases perfunctorily, but the ones that we needed, Michael Shtarchem, which we just had, Sorev Shtar, we just had. This gives you an idea of the difference between the two. So Mazik b'yadayim, initially when you do Hezek b'yadayim, everyone holds Yechayev. Where it's Grama, most people get Grama Yapata b'nei Shemayim. Garmi, if you judge Garmi, you're Chayev. And we're looking at the Rush. The Rush says Bari Azeka. Says also you do the damage, and I think Hezek has to be miyad. The Hezek has to be immediately, and that would be based upon the Rush. It'll be a very good. At least I always said I always mentioned this to you. I never went through it with you, and then I feel good that we went to see it a little bit. But again, it's much longer than it's a lot. Okay, guys, we're good. So again, according to Maskan of the Gemara, Rabbi said you be patuk as groma. Amema says it's garmi and you be chayiv. Amema says it's garmi and you be chayiv.
The shtar, when you're doing the shtar, but the shtar does have value because you could sell, like you said, to somebody that
But again, so you're saying it's dava garim l'mamen.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're making a distinction. It itself intrinsically doesn't have value. It's the collectability that's value. When you say dava garim l'mamen is,
but no.
Yeah.
I have
So good. You could sell.
I need money.
Okay.
I'll say, I'll give you this for $50 right now.
Okay.
And I can get $50.
Okay,
right
but
now.
again, that it's not worth $50. It's what I'm giving you on a gamble that I'll get the money, right? You're selling it cheap, and again, it's the collectability that has value in itself. In other words, good. What's the $50 that I can collect 100? But it's that extra step. It's not worth $50. The star itself is not worth $50, Chaim. The fact that you can collect 100. No, I'm giving you a distinction. Watch. The chametz now, you have a pound of shmura matzah.
Right.
No, non-shmura matzah. Shmura matzah. Forget about that. That's beyond the realm of expansion. No, I'm saying that intrinsically has value. It itself is value. A star doesn't have value. The star has good. You can get money for the star. It doesn't mean, but it's not worth that. It's a piece of paper. It's a piece. And intrinsic. Look at the chefza. The chefza itself is not a chefza of. It's not a chefza of money. It's the fact that you can collect money with it. In other words, if you have a $50 bill, that's right. It's a $50 bill. If you have a star that can collect $50, what's the difference? There's a big difference, right? Just because you can get $50 for the star does not make it money.
But I can sell it.
Whatever you can sell it for, it doesn't make a difference. You have to sell it. It is not worth it. You have to sell it. Again, you're saying I'm explaining to you.
So then stock wouldn't be worth money either.
Correct.
Wouldn't be worth
Right.
piece of paper.
Piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. Checks, piece of paper. Piece of paper. Now, a check could be that it is money. I mean, again, it could be it stands for currency. You know, if you illegally go ahead and write a check, it's because it could be money itself. When you write a check for cash, for example, you're going to a place and you're giving it directly. You're getting cash for it. It's different than a star. A check is different than a star. A check itself is cash. Chaim, I don't know if you understand me.
No,
You got that. There's in the $50 bill in the star. Good, you could get $50 for the star, but it's not $50. Okay, and that's the difference. Okay, the Mishnah said chametz Pesach, chametz and Pesach passes by. You can say shechal. Guys, this was a chiddush, right? You all said chametz worth nothing. Yeah, guess what? There was no shinoi. It's not recognizable. The difference. It's the same piece of bread, and therefore ve'eshav v'sgela shegazal. Mantana oimrim bi suri hana shechal lefanecha. Now chametz is asa b'hana. Who's the Tana who says that isuri hana you could say shechal lefanecha? Guys, our Mishnah says, right? Isuri. Let's look back in the Mishnah for a second. Look back in the Mishnah for a second. The Mishnah is Sadik Bava and Beis. Sadik Bava and Beis, where it says Gemara 3, go up a little bit above that. Okay, Mapeya v'nifsel. Again, we said that right. Oh, in your place, Truma v'nit mas, Chametz over Pesach, Behema v'nis avda ba'avera. I don't know what. You made a mum. Me'al gab mizbeach. Nisla me'al gab mizbeach. Oisha hoisa yoitzel lisakel. Oimeler shechal lefanecha. Now, there's no change in the animal. It's hezek shenei nika. Now, be aware, the two things we need are chametz and the animal taking out to be killed. In other words, you're given an animal to watch. You're given an animal to watch, and lo and behold, the animal kills a man, and the guy shows up. And you say, here it is. Here it is. You don't have to pay him. It's asabana. Chametz, asabana. Shor haniskul, asabana. But guess what? Since there was no change intrinsically in the animal, okay, says the Gemara. Who is the Tana who says you could say by Isuri Hano like Chametz, Avishachalofanecha? Omer Rav Chisda, Rabbi Yaakov he. So now, guys, Rabbi Chisda, the Amar of Chisda suggests it's the Machloikis Tanoim whether you can say by Isuri Hana Hari Shachalofanecha. The Tanya, Shor Shehemis, a shor that killed a man, actually Nigmar Dinoi, before there was a Gemar Din, and therefore it was not placed out to be killed. Machroi Machr, if you sell it, it's a good sale. Hegdeshoi Mukdish, if you magdish it, it's Hegdish. Shachtoi Bisroi Mutta, if you shechted, the boss is Mutta. Hechziroi Shaimel Abalov Muchser, if the Shaimel is watching it and return it to the owner, it's considered he fulfilled his Chiyav Hashava. However, Mishenigmar Dinoi, once the Gemar Din is in place, Machroi in a Machar, Hekdesha in a Mukdish, Shachtoi Bisroi Aser, Hechziru Shaimel Abalov, Ein muchsar. Okay, that's the Tanakama. Now, why would you say that? Why? Because you can't be Mekayim Hari Shachal Lefanecha with Isuri Hana. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, Af Mishenigma Dinoi, Hechziru Shomer Lebalav, Muchsar. My Laba Hakanifli. Rabbi Yaakov Sava, Oimrim Bisuri Hana. This is a Shara Niskol. It's Asaba Hana. You could say Hari Shachal Lefanecha. But Rabbanan Savri and the Rabbanan say that no, if after the Gemara Din, it's too late. Ein Oimrim Bisuri Hana Hari Shachal Lefanecha. So now, why did Rav Chisda say? Rav Chisda said in our Mishnah, when it said that you can go ahead and do business with what? With Chametz, Shavuot Pesach, it's Isurei Hana, give it back, it's Rabbi Yaakov. It's Rabbi Yaakov. But the Chachamim would disagree, because the Chachamim would say, just like Shar HaNiskel is also, you can't return it, so too. L'chayra Chametz, Shavuot Pesach. In other words, there's no distinction between Chametz and Shar HaNiskel. They're both Asa B'Hana. And just like you can't go ahead and be Yotzi Yechiyev Hashava with a Shar Niskel, you won't be able to be Yotzi Yechiyev with Chametz, and therefore what? He's not the Rabbi Yaakov was the time of the Mishnah. So again, guys, this is important. Rav Chisda says he wants the shtelzich that our Mishnah is a machlokes tanoim. He wants a shtelzich our Mishnah is a machlokes tanoim, and the Tana of our Mishnah is Rabbi Yaakov. That's what he wants to say, and he wants to say synonymously that there's no difference between Chametz and Shar Niskel, which our Mishnah said there is no difference. Says the Gemara. Amalei Rabba, says Rabba to Rav Chisda, Loi, no. The Kulyamun Amrinon be Surayna Har Shechal Lefanecha. Right? Everyone says be Surayna, right? You could say, why? The Im Kain, because if there was a machlokes by Surayna, Niflgu b'chametz b'Pesach. Right? You should argue by chametz b'Pesach. Guys, outside eye contact. I get two cases of Isuri Hana. Good? Two cases. Chametz Shavuot LePesach and a shor that is a shor HaNiskel. By where was the machlokes between Rabbi Yaakov and the Tanakama? Rabbi Yaakov and the Tanakama? By shor HaNiskel. That after there was a Gemar Din, and the shor now has been said to be stoned, right? Says the Tanakama, it's not worth anything. It's asab. I know you can't use it. You can't use it. Says Rav Yaakov, you could. Even after the Gemar Din, you could return it. You could use it. Rav Chisda wanted to say that that's good for the machlokes. So here's the kasha. Loit the Tanakama, why didn't he tell us by Chomesh Shavuot Pesach that you can't say Hari Shechal Lefanecha? After all, Chometz Pesach is similar to a Shar Niskel. It's Asa B'Hana. Mashma by Chometz, you could say Hari Shechal Lefanecha. And now we have to answer, if Isuri Hana, you could say Hari Shechal Lefanecha, why by Shar can't you? Why by Shar can't you? There must be a reason, right? Okay. What's the reason? I'll give it to you outside. Okay, I'll give it to you outside. If you go ahead and you're watching the Shar, and all of a sudden the Shar kills somebody, and you bring it to Bezdin, you know what the owner of the Shar could have said? You cost me money. You could have gone ahead, given it back to me. I would have put it in a swamp somewhere. Bezdin never would. And then what? And Bezdin couldn't judge the shor because kamisas abal kachmisas ashor. You have to go ahead, what, and judge the shor in front of the shor. You have to judge in front of him, right? So in other words, when you gave it over to Bezdin, you know what you did? You were mazik b'yadayim. You caused me a loss, right? Since you were mazik b'yadayim, therefore, right? That's why you have to pay. That's why you have to pay. That's why you can't say Avishachal Lefanecha. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabba, says Rabba, Loi, the Kuliyalma Amrinon Bisurei Noi Harishachal Lefanecha. You could. Dim Kain, because if the machlokes was you can't, Niflgu b'chametz b'Pesach. They should argue by chametz, and they don't. Meaning the Chachamim are made to Rabbi Yaakov by chametz that you can say Harishachal Lefanecha. Elama Rabba Hacha b'goimrim dina shel shor shalei b'fanav kamiflagi. This is whether the machlokes is whether you can goimer the din of a shor in front of him. Rabban and Savri ain't goimrim dina shel shor shalei b'fanav. You can't go ahead and judge the shor unless the shor is there. Man, guys, kamisas a bailim, kachmisas a shor. He's got to be there. The Amalei, the owner of the shor, can tell the shomer, say ne'alei, if you would have given it to me, havi makrina leila agma, I would have let it go to the swamp, and hashta masatia biyad man delay matzina lashtu yedina madei. But you gave it over to Bezdin, and I can't go ahead, what, and I can't deal with that. Why? So therefore, you know why you can't say Hashchal Lefanecha? because your act of giving over is mazik b'yadayim. Since had you not given it over, they couldn't have judged it. Now you caused me a monetary loss. Rabbi Yaakov Sava, I didn't cause you any monetary loss. My avdile, I gave it over to him to make a difference. Say, if you would have taken it and gone to the swamp, they would have gone ahead and okay. So Rabbi says this machlokes has nothing to do with Isuri Hana. Everyone holds Asa by Chametz. Everyone agrees. The reason why over here you're chayiv to pay, you can't say Hashchal Fanecha, is because you caused me a loss. Because you gave it over to Bezdin. Had you not given it over to Bezdin, the Chacham say they wouldn't have been able to judge it, and you wouldn't have asked it. By you giving it to Bezdin, you caused me an issa, you caused me a loss. Now, Rav Chisda is going to go ahead, guys, and you know what he wants? Rav Chisda wants to find someone who agrees with him, Hanoim, who agree with him, that the machlokes is contingent upon whether you say Yisuri Hano or not. Good? So now, Amalei, so, Ashachei Rav Chisda, Le Rabba Bar Shmuel. Rav Chisda found Rabba Bar Shmuel, and Amalei said, listen, Tanis Midi Bisuri Hana. Did you learn anything regarding Yisuri Hana? Guys, look at Rashi. Go down. Ashche Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda Mahadir Amas Nisan. Rav Chisda was looking after Mishnayos. The Nahavi Bo Plukta Achametz B'Pesach. That there's a machlokes by Chametz B'Pesach. In other words, he wanted to find him someone who said by Chametz B'Pesach you can't say Habe Shechal Lefanecha, because if you can't say by Chametz, then you'd have a raya that what? Machlokes is by Isuri Hana, right? The time of the Rabbanim Mishum the Einoim Isuri Hana Habe Shechal Lefanecha. Guys, outside. It's not that hard. We're saying the following. By Isuri Hana, you could say Habe Shalach Lefanecha. Here it is. What's your raya? Chametz. Chametz before Pesach is good. After Pesach's bad. You have it. You go to the owner. Here it is. It's asabana. Doesn't make a difference because you could say here it is. I could means I could be mekayim my mitzvah of hashava by giving you something that's asabana. By shar. Okay, we saw the distinction by shar. You caused me a monetary loss. Rav Chisda was looking for someone who would be able to say the following: by chametz, you cannot say. Why not? Because chametz is asa b'hana. So then he would have two things: chametz and shara nisko. You can't say what you can't say harishchol fanecha. So if Chisda would have the man de Omar who says einachnami, it's a machlokes whether be surya or no. You could say what harishchol fanecha. Clearly, Rabbi Yaakov says you could, and he's looking for the man de Omar not. And you couldn't bring a raya from shara nisko because we had another svara by shara nisko. So he's asking Rabbi Bar Shmuel. By the way, can you find me a mishnah that says chametz shavlo pesach? You cannot say harishchol fanecha. That's the setup of the Gemara. So Ashli Rav Chisda l'Rabba Bar Shmuel. Amalei tanis midi bisuri hana where chametz shavlo pesach you cannot say harishchol fanecha. Amalei in Tanina it says v'heishav is like zela. Once you say you return the gazela, well, of course, guys, once you say it's gazela, of course Asher Gazal. Asher Gazal, you can't have a gazela without Asher Gazal. So what do you say Asher Gazal for? Yaksa Kain Shagazal. If it's Kain Shagazal, the way you stole it, you return it. Mikana Amru, Gazal Matbeya v'nifsel, Peris v'hekivu, Yayin v'hichmitz, Truma v'nitmas, Chametz v'aval of Pesach, Behema v'nevda ba'avera, V'shar, Achlei Nigmar Dinai, Good. So what do you see? Man shamalei dama actually nigmar dino in mishnigmar dino loy. If the gemar did not, Rabbanon, right? The Rabbanon say after the gemar din you can't use say hashchal fanecha. The ketani chametz v'aval pesach aymal hashchal fanecha. So what do you see? We make the distinction by shor because of the reason had you not brought it to Bezdin, I would have been saved. But chametz einachinami, you could say hashchal fanecha. You know why? Because everyone's maida, you could be mekayim yechiyav hashava with isuri hana. So in other words, this Rabbi Bar Shmuel did not do Rav Chisda any justice. He didn't find him on the Amma. In other words, we have after the Gemar din, Shar Niskel's out, but Chametz Allah Pesach is still in. So you see the distinction. The reason it does not have anything to do with Isuri Hana, because then my chametz also you won't be able to say Arishchal Fanecha. The reason is because the guy could have timed it. Had you not, you couldn't have judged the case without the shor being there. I would have sent him to the swamp. That's why after the Gemara din you can't say Arishchal Fanecha because you're mazik b'yadayim, Masha Enkein over here. By chametz, you could say it. So Rav Chisda did not find anyone is. So Rav Chisda retorts to Rabbi Bar Shmuel, if you find Talmid Chachamim like Teimeluhu v'leimidi, you don't see anything about you found. Rashi says, I don't want them to be so happy that they beat me to the punch. Paris v'kivu amalei ha'yishchol l'fenecha. Yeah, Paris they rotted, but we're going to see not too much. You could say here it is in front of you. I v'tanan Paris v'kivu mishalim k'shas agazela. Paris v'kivu you pay k'shas agazela. So you see that what is kind of with shinoi. Amra Papa kanshe kivu kulan. That's where they rotted completely. That's where what you have to pay k'shas agazela. Kan where it says harishal fenecha is shekivu miktsasum. And they only partially went ahead and got rotted. No, it's nothing more than the norm. Nothing more than the norm, and therefore you could say harishal fenecha.